Hi, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're answering your questions. We're gonna go through, answer more questions and comments. I know this week has been a little bit light for content. I have some family visiting from far away, so prioritizing, but that's not the cadence it'll be all summer. I usually try to do at least 2 videos. 3 to 4 is my ideal, but life happens. But without further ado, let's go in and answer a bunch of your questions. I do still have ski reviews kind of coming out bit by bit. I've only got a couple left, but there are still more down the pipeline. But for a lot of people, I don't know, there's not a huge rush to get them out. So anyway, let's answer your questions. The first one I meant to answer a while ago. This was from Birdman0756. They say, "Hey Elliott, great video as always. Quick question, where did you purchase the Tyrolia Attack jig? I was able to buy the marker jig from an overseas company. Thanks in advance." Yeah, the jigs are basically these mounting templates that line up with that binding. You can do it without. You can have like a piece of paper and you can like find the mounting points. I'm sure there's even ways you could do it around, like if you took the screw, painted it, and had the little dots there. The jigs make it a lot easier though, because it essentially clamps down, lines up, and it also, the way that the clamps close, it allows the binding mount to be in the center of the ski widthwise. And I bought mine on Sideline Swap. It's very, very hard to buy the proper jig. I almost would warn people against it because it's so complicated. I had to go on, find Tyrolia's exact make number, like this 8-digit SKU, then go and search that way. Then I found someone on Sideline Swap. Then you go and double check it, make sure it's exactly the right model. I was able to make it work, but I don't think it's the easiest or most accessible way to do it. But I'm mounting so many skis that I felt like it was worthwhile. I think I bought mine for like 280 bucks, something like that. But eventually I'll break even on it. As always, Sideline Swap can be a little hit or miss, but here's the jig that I got. This is for the Tyrolia Attack demo binding. The nice thing about demo bindings is that you don't have to have the boot on it when you mount it. Because they're demo bindings, you're gonna be able to adjust it. So you really just have these screws here, and you just need to make sure they line up. So mounting demo bindings, in my experience, has been quite a lot easier. The big thing is you wanna make sure you have the right drill bits. There's one drill bit for Titanal skis and another one for wood core, and you wanna make sure you get that part right. And the nice thing about those specialty bits, I think they ran me something like 10 to 15 bucks per bit. I just speaking out my butt there, I'm not totally sure. But the nice thing about that is those won't allow you to over drill. If you just go with a normal drill bit, you can go too deep and then go through the ski and then it won't hold. The specialty drill bits are one of the key components I found with mounting my own bindings, because they have the little flat end at the base of the bit that will stop it from going too deep. But this, I think, was something like $280. If I remember the math right, I needed to maybe it's $220. I needed to mount 4 pairs of skis to break even. So yeah, I think at $240 I break even, because at my local shop it costs about 60 bucks a pair to get them mounted. And I also, part of the reason I picked this one is I just had a bunch of Tyrolia demo bindings from the bindings that other ski companies had sent me. These can go anywhere from $240, I think I may have offered below on this one, all the way up to, I've seen them go for $600 for some of the Look mounting jigs. So if you're gonna mount yourself, really be committed to one binding. And honestly, if you're not mounting like 3 or 4 pairs of skis per year, it's gonna take you a long time to break even. I wouldn't recommend this for most people. And even on the really expensive skis, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it myself, because I would feel really guilty mounting up a pair of DPS, carbon pieceworks, and then messing it up on a $2,000 ski, and then I gotta make it right. So what am I doing? Going and buying another ski? So, but for like a $300 or $400 pair of bent 90s, doing it myself makes plenty of sense. And the first pair of skis I mounted, I actually messed up, but I put a plug in and I chiseled it off and sanded it down, and it was fine. The first time I did it, I had this backwards, and it has a little picture where it shows you this is the way that the ski should be faced based on the jig. But I've been really happy with this, and already I've done 2 pairs of skis. I'm halfway to breaking even on this, and I'm really, really excited to use this in the winter, especially early winter around Christmas, when the shops are just slam full of people trying to get their skis mounted. Last year it was like a 1 to 2 week wait list. I'm sure other places it might even be longer. So this will allow me, if I get a ski last minute from a company, to be able to mount it up pretty quick. I was really nervous doing my first pair, but you know, after I did the first pair, I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. All right, the next question comes from Robert Meyer 5459. Hi, I'm looking for some advice. I've skied on Rossi's Sin 7s in 180 for years. Just bought the Volkl Mantra 88s in 177 because I want to improve my carving. I'm an advanced skier, mostly ski in the Northeast on icier conditions. The Volkls arrived today and they are longer than expected. They are just as long as my Rossi's. The next shorter size was 170s, but that sounded too short for me. I'm 6 foot tall, athletic build. Thoughts? Oh yeah, I could be wrong. I could be misremembering this. From what I remember about the Rossignol Sin 7s back then, is they had a pretty aggressive splay, right? With the rocker, like they started kind of early. I could be wrong. I could be misremembering that, but that's, maybe I'm mixing them up with like the Soul 7s. But those splay pretty early with the rocker. So yeah, what you're seeing is with the Volkls, they do splay up, but it's not as aggressive or early, especially in the Mantra line. That being said, for 6 foot tall, a 177 should be fine. Maybe you could downsize a little bit if you're the Mantra 88 and you want to make like really quick slalom turns. But I would say just give it some time, like put them on snow, and I bet you'll get used to it, especially for some of the more open radius turns. That should be fine, especially if you're an advanced skier. Ski sizing, a lot of it is to taste, to be honest. If you like a really quick slalom turn, sure, go for the 170. For me, I like a 177 at the very least, because sometimes when I get really aggressive with my turns, I can end up a little bit over the ski, especially out here where we have soft snow and you can get kind of stuck, or you can kind of go over the tops if the snow is too soft. So, you know, size to taste. I have a whole video about ski sizing if that's helpful to you, but I think those will be fine. I wouldn't lose any sleep over it, honestly. It'll take some time to get used to because the Sin 7's rocker was so aggressive that the part that's actually touching snow will be different. But with those Mantras where you have the adjustable, what is it, the 3D radius on the Mantra 88s, when you have those kind of adjustable radiuses, you'll find that you're able to get different shape turns once you get used to it. Yeah, I think you'll be fine. I really wouldn't worry that much about it. And if it's totally awful, you know, sell them and get a different pair the next year. But for your height, being 6 foot tall and an experienced skier, 177 should be perfectly fine for you. I hope that helps. If nothing else, I hope that helps you sleep at night. All right, Dexter7954 says, I'm torn between Mantra Kendo 84s, 88s, and M7 Mantras for spring crud cutter, seconding as a front side carver ski. I demoed the M7s and absolutely loved them. They plowed through everything. Sadly, the demo shops didn't have any other. Is there any utility or what I'm looking for gained or lost by going down in waist with width for 88 and 84, mainly a Colorado skier? Yes, there is. You get more reactive turns. You get quicker turns when you go down to the Mantra 88s or the 84s. The 84s especially are pretty punchy, but you are losing versatility. And I think if you're looking for a crud cutter specifically, I would go with M7 Mantra. The Mantra 88s kind of do it, but then they also give you like those quick slalom turns. The Mantra 84s are fine in spring skiing. That's when I took them, but they're a little bit punchier. They kind of power through things more and will give you quicker short radius turns as far as like access goes. But primarily I want those on the groomers. When it's bad weather and I want to be able to go all over the mountain, my go-to ski has been the M7 Mantra. So if versatility and crud and bad snow is what you're looking for, I would go with the M7. If you're looking for like a performance turn and you're really gonna stay when it's well groomed, or you want those quicker punchier turns, that's when I would start walking towards a thinner width. But you know, with the thinner width you lose the ability to go off trail. Whereas M7 Mantra, I mean, it doesn't do great in powder, but it can do it. It doesn't do great in off trail, but it can do it. And especially if it's bad snow and you want to have access to the whole mountain, M7 Mantra is a great option. They're all great, but they get better at different things depending on the width. So I hope that was helpful. That was a great question. Man, talking a lot about Volkl today. All right, one of our members, Brandy Kilkenny 5735 says, nice, I was looking to replace my current Bent Spitfire poles. Thanks for the link. Ordered a new pair today. Oh, this was on the leaky ski pole review. Yeah, I love the trigger system. I love the leaky poles. It's been my go-to. The only time I wasn't using them was when it was too warm out, because, you know, the mittens I had were very warm, and when it gets to be like 40, 50, 60 degrees, then that gets a bit much. But Leaky actually at the very end of the year sent me a pair, you know, just to try, of the spring skiing gloves, and I actually love them. So now I can use the trigger system year round, and I'm super happy. It's just so much easier handling camera equipment with the trigger system. I find that my skiing is better because I don't have to like do a death grip around my poles. I can relax and let the trigger system fall in between my hand. I'm super happy with the trigger system. And it sounds like you had Spitfires before, so maybe you're happy with it. But yeah, you know, now that I've tried it, I'm a big fan of that leaky pole system. All right, one NVR KNOZ on the brand ghosted me video. Elliott, you are without a doubt a more experienced and skillful skier than I am. I mean, I don't know, how do you know that? We haven't skied together. You might be better than me. Yet, whenever I watch your ski footage, I inevitably see you're wedging your skis. Oh, okay. It's a compliment sandwich tactic we're going with. I was always told that the pinnacle of ski technique is to keep them parallel. Lately, I've been lifting up my uphill ski to match the angle of my downhill ski in turns. Is that outdated guidance or misinformation? Would love to see a video on your thoughts on the subject. Yeah, it's hard for me to tell exactly what you're talking about without seeing it. Your skis aren't always perfectly parallel, and a lot of my end of year reviews, you're in really soft snow, so sometimes you're just doing the best you can. I don't typically wedge while I'm skiing. Some of that could be the GoPro, but you're pressuring your downhill ski. Traditionally, with straight skis, you're trying to get the direction of them and go that way. With shape skis, and now what you're trying to do is change the shape of the ski and let that control your turn shape based on the pressure in your boot. Lifting the inside ski is a habit I used to have, and everyone does it a little bit once in a while. But essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to release the pressure of what was your downhill ski and now will be your uphill ski to get the next ski initiated. What happens is you don't want to lift that up because then you lose contact and you lose feel with the snow. You want to, but not doing something is really hard. So instead, what I would focus on is build pressure in the new ski and wait for it to hook and get that to initiate your turn rather than doing weird stepping with your skis to get this turn initiated. You want to think about initiating the turn with pressure rather than with posture or anything with your upper body. And in that way, like I'm surfing right now or trying to surf or learning to surf, is very different because you initiate a lot of things with your upper body. With skiing, a lot of it is initiated with pressure of your shins on the boots and changing the shape of the ski in a subtle way. So when the ski is about to become your downhill ski from your uphill ski, just think about pressuring the new downhill ski in that transition. I'm kind of doing a lot of guesswork here because I can't see exactly what you're talking about, but I hope this is helpful nonetheless. Mr. Benosuke3 says, with the Elon Ripstick 96 green video, does it ski true to size? What size would you recommend someone who is 5'8", 173 centimeters, 155 intermediate advanced West Coast, 168 or 175? I think that the Elon Ripsticks ski pretty true to size. They have really easy turn initiation because of their asymmetrical, so they're pretty true to size. You could maybe lean a little bit on the longer end because the turn initiation is so quick and because they kind of have those square tips. You don't want to get them too short and then have the square tips kind of catch on wet, heavy snow. But I wouldn't go much more. So, okay, so you're 5'8", 173. You're talking about 168 or 175. Oh, that is a hard one. If you're 173, you could go either way with that. I would go maybe 168 if you're on the East Coast. Oh no, you're on the West Coast. I would go 175 because you're gonna be wearing your ski boots and everything. I would go 175 with the Elon Ripstick. It's honestly, it's a coin toss. You could go either way. Just go to taste. If you really want the Elon Ripstick for quick, short radius turns and you're mostly gonna be on piste, then, oh, and you're intermediate advanced. Yeah, actually I changed my mind. Go 168. if you're more advanced and you were gonna kind of take them in some powder, go 175. But I think if you really want to improve your carving and get your timing down and everything, with the information I have on hand, I would go a little bit shorter just because you're gonna build those skills out at a better rate. Honestly, it's half a dozen or 6 the other way. You could do it either way you want to slice it, so pick what you care about. But for me, if I was that height and that ability and you wanted to improve your carving and you really wanted to like get some short radius turns laid out, I would go with the 168. Hope that's helpful. Sorry I changed my mind like 3 times while I answered, but but had to think out loud a little bit. All right, MP Noto says, on the Volkl M7 Mantra review, I tried there today, I'm assuming they're talking about the skis, in Colorado late May, peanut butter now, along with a few other mid-waist skis. All I have to say is, wow, this ski is unique. It cut through the peanut butter like nothing else I've tried. I'm assuming that just means like sticky snow. That's a cool saying, I've just never heard it before. They are rocket ships, and they were fun in the bumps too. Definitely a ski that fits in the quiver when the conditions are soft, wet, and chunky. Fast and fun. You have to be awake when these are on your feet. Review is right on. Yeah, I love the M7 Mantra. The more I ski on it, the more I appreciate it. I don't know how I end up talking about the M7 Mantra. I'm just kind of going down the line of my comments. Oh, I guess I did a deal video where Volkls were just on sale. Maybe that's why everyone's talking about them. Yeah, the more I ski on it, the more I like it. It's the best ski that I've kind of been able to just keep in my car, and if the conditions are bad, then I can switch to it. Especially if the conditions start out good and then get bad, I'll switch over to the M7 Mantra. But I've been so happy with it. I really, really am impressed with it. I like the M6 and the M5 fine, but they kind of, you know, blasted down the hill in one direction. I feel like they've really done a nice job keeping all of that DNA and refining it and allowing the M7 Mantra to have way more diversity in what kind of terrain it can have fun on. You know, I don't think it's for everyone. I could see people not liking it, right? If you don't like crud cutter skis, if you don't want to ski when the conditions are bad, or if you don't like a ski that kind of powers through things, I could see, you know, somebody who's like an intermediate person who loves like their Elan ripsticks on really good snow days being like, that's not for me. You know, not every ski is for every person, but man, when you line that up for the right skier and the right conditions, I think there's a lot of power and just a lot of stability. Like, it feels good. I never feel like I'm gonna go over the tips or get caught up in bad snow. I just feel like I'm always gonna be able to get on that smooth turn. And it's kind of similar to how people feel about Nordic Enforcers, just with a little bit of a different ski style. But it's also what I appreciate about the Nordic Enforcer 99s. I know I didn't like the older ones, but the modern, like 2025 and newer Nordic Enforcer 99s, I think are also really nice for that. You know, but the Nordic Enforcer 99 is very much like you're spending more time on the tails, whereas the M7 Mantra, you're a little bit more directly underfoot when you kind of get your edge on turn, or however you want to say it, when the ski kind of bites into the snow. They're both unique, but I like them for similar conditions. All right, the next comment comes from John Long 1100 on my ski prices are in freefall video. Let me know when lift tickets go on sale. They go faster than insurance premiums on California homes. Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you are. If you're in Epic or Icon territory, where I'm at Bogus Basin, if you buy your pass right now, it's very affordable. I forget the exact number. I think if you get like the true Bogus Pass with the mountain biking, it's like around $600 or something like that. What I do is I always buy mine in February around my birthday, because that is when it's the cheapest. They do the preseason sale, you get the best deals, but also mine's a non-profit mountain and all of that money goes back into the mountain. I talked about this before, but when I went to Sun Valley, it was like, oh my God, where is all this money going? A $230 lift ticket and I have a paper ticket? Like, what the heck? So it just depends on where you are. There are a lot of places that are definitely taking advantage of people because you're so into the sport, or if you're from there, what else are you gonna do? When I lived in Vermont for a little period as an adult, I grew up there as a kid, but I lived there as an adult for a couple years, and my home mountain of Burke Mountain, if you didn't get the preseason, if you just bought it midwinter, a season pass was almost $1,100. Maybe with taxes it was like $1,000 something. And I love Burke, but I I can't see anything on the mountain that is worth more than $1,000. But if you already own a home there, where else are you gonna go, right? You're gonna drive all the way up to Jay Peak just for a slightly cheaper pass? They know that they've totally got you cornered. What these ski hills don't seem to consider, in the news recently, it was announced that Vail Resorts CEO, I forget her name, Susan something, stepped down, and now the former CEO, who, I don't know any of these people, but he's stepping back in, and I'm not sure how great of a guy he was in general, because I know he dealt with some of the protests as well. Anyway, what these executives at Vail and Epic and Icon don't seem to consider is that, yes, you can charge people more, but you have to think from a long-term health of the sport perspective. And I know that they have their own costs, right? I'm not completely blind to that. But the piece that people are missing is if you don't have locals to sustain it, then you don't have your base. And a lot of these places have realized, well, we can just get tourists to pay top dollar and we don't have to worry about our base of locals. Well, eventually, when you get into a recession, when people don't have spending money for vacations or they're spending it on other things, well, now all of a sudden you're gonna look for your locals and they don't even live there anymore. You have people who work in town who have to drive from 2-3 towns over, and you've totally priced out those people. Or guess what? Locals who don't get into the sport don't stay in the sport. So let's say you have somebody who's interested in skiing that lives local to your mountain, right? If they don't buy a pair of skis, or they see it as just this very expensive thing, even if the prices have come back down, right? But if the understanding of the sport is this is a hoity-toity, way overpriced sport, they don't even get into it in the first place. So it's kind of like you're over-harvesting skiers for people who are really big fans, but the people who are kind of on the cusp, who may have an interest, and if they got into it, they'd do it for the rest of their lives. But if you don't get that kind of introductory area invested or involved, or just getting skis on their feet, then you don't have long-term sustainability. And a lot of these executives don't care, right? They just are looking for their 5-year bonus. They don't care about the long-term sustainability. But that's why I always think it's crazy that day tickets are so expensive. Everyone wants to talk about season passes. Well, day tickets don't matter. Season passes are the real value. But what do people who are new do? When I was first learning how to surf, what did I do? I went to the rental shop and rented it for the day to see if I was interested. You have to get people in the door. I was at the Idaho History Museum yesterday, and they had this really cool display talking about how Sun Valley started. And I might be getting some details wrong, but the long and short of it was that originally the way that Sun Valley started was Union Pacific was having a hard time selling train tickets for the West Coast. So, okay, well, how do we get people from the east to the west? Well, we need to have some resort skiing. So they hired this mountain designer or architect, I forget what his title was, but this is a guy from Austria, and they had him drive through the west and pick a place to design a ski area, to design a ski resort. And he kind of passed on everything, and then they brought him back and brought him to Sun Valley through one of their more like remote lines. And he said, yep, this is it, this is where I want to build it. And a lot of what they were doing was, okay, we have all these celebrities that are coming on our trains to the ski hill, but we can't sustain it long-term without having locals. So that's when they realized they needed to build long-term housing, they need to build this infrastructure for people to do things in the summer. And once you have that base, then you can long-term have a sustainable ski area or a ski community. So where am I going with this? All of these execs have completely forgotten about the base of locals that build ski culture, that allow the areas to be livable year-round, that make it a desirable place for people to come, where it's not just a bunch of other tourists. And they've completely regressed on that understanding and gone back to, well, we'll just hire seasonal workers and we'll just have people fly in and fly out without worrying about the long-term sustainability or the long-term interest in skiing from locals. Because guess what? When you have bad snow years, which we haven't had in a while, when you have bad snow years, who shows up? The locals are the ones that show up and ski, no matter what the conditions are. And if you don't give them affordable day tickets to get their foot in the door and see if they like it, see if they want to spend $600 on a season pass, see if they want to spend $1,000 on a season pass, see if they want to spend $100 on a helmet, $600 on ski boots, $500 on skis, they're never going to figure that out unless you give them that initial accessible taste of it to try it out, or even just take a few days of lessons. So I think all of this is short-sighted. I think we're already seeing people don't want to deal with Epic. They don't want to deal with Icon. You've got crowds coming in. They don't want to deal with that. And people are more and more moving to some of these mom and pop ski hills to get that experience. Bogus Basin's a perfect example. We're not the best. I think we have like $60 day tickets, but at least it's something to get people in the door and try it. We also have a bunch of programs where I know that like I have friends who wanted to get into skiing and they got like their rental was baked into their day ticket and it was all pretty affordable. And it gave them their first 3 days of lessons. And if they were interested, don't quote me on this, I could be wrong, but they could like roll it into their next year's season pass. There's all these goodwill things that a nonprofit mountain is able to do that these execs over at Epic and Icon just seem totally blind to. And maybe they don't care. Maybe they're not blind to it. Maybe they see it and they're just like, well, I'll be out of here. My, CEO bonus will have cleared by that point and I'll be long gone. But if you look at skiing economically from a sustainability point, you have to have both ends of it. Yes, season passes are great because you can forecast what you're going to make, but you need also a healthy day ticket to get people in the door. It doesn't seem complicated, but it seems very overlooked. Anyway, that's my long rant on this person's one comment, sorry. Yes, if you want to get affordable season passes, buy it like now, or best case scenario, buy it the winter before. That's the best way I've found to save money. Your mountain may vary, how you buy your tickets or passes may vary, but that's what I've had the best luck with. If you're an intermediate or new skier and you have the option of a smaller hill, I would go with a smaller hill that's gonna be more affordable, and then you'll appreciate the bigger mountain. Sometimes people who are more intermediate, when they get on these hills, I don't know that you're intermediate, but I'm just saying that I've noticed that where people will say, let's say you're Sun Valley, they're like, oh, well, I got the big Baldy pass and I'm just learning to ski this year. It's like, go to Dollar Mountain. You're not gonna get anything out of Baldy, and you could have a season pass that's like half the price or less, and that mountain is gonna have more than you need for your first year of skiing. And then, you'll appreciate Baldy later. So that's my advice. Buy it early, buy exactly what you need, and Godspeed, because, it's hard. Once you're in an area, you're not gonna move because they overcharge you for the season pass. You're gonna kind of pay whatever. But eventually, I hope that they kind of learn their lesson from all the issues they've been having. So anyway, that's my long rant. I'll let it go finally. If you guys like this kind of content, please consider liking, subscribing. That's a free way to support the channel. We will also have a list of affiliate links down below of skis that are on sale right now if you're looking for ski deals. We also have channel memberships if you want your comment prioritized. But as always, more than anything, just thanks for taking time out of your day to watch my content. It means a ton to me, and I can't say thank you enough. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos, even in the summer, even being, off season. I like making the content. I like watching other ski content. So I hope you enjoyed this. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.